Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back into another video of Paladins. Today's video is actually a video that I don't think I've ever truly done a tier list. This is gonna be a tier list for supports. I don't know if we should consider it 2023 or just mid 2023 or something like that. But nonetheless, this will be only for supports. I also want to warn this right now that this is a personal tier list. All right, this is based on my personal experience with champions, both as playing them or having them or my team, or as being against them. And, you know, we also have to take attention to certain details, like, for example, whether or not I'm talking about them as their main functionality being like solo healer or off support. But I will evaluate it a little bit overall, right? Like, so for example, we're looking at Grok here. I'm not going to evaluate him only as a solo support, as an only healer, right? A main healer. I will be evaluating a little bit the entire kit, and I'll give them a little bit of my personal opinion on which one I prefer, if it's a main healer or an off support, maybe secondary healer, hybrid, doesn't matter, and if I would recommend her, etc. So you are completely free to ignore all of this. If I trigger anybody, then that's completely unfortunate, but I don't really care, because like I said, this is a personal tier list, and if you don't like it, then clicking off the video is just as easy as clicking on it. Okay, so thank you so much. Let's get into it, all right, because this is going to be my first official tier list, and I decided to separate them. This one will be the support tier list, then we'll do flanks, damages, and off, front lines. Maybe in the future we'll start doing like everything at the same time, and I will be talking mainly on the experience of ranked, because casuals is such a mess that there's just no point. You can, however, apply what you do in competitive into casuals, but obviously there's some differences, like counter picks and so on, blind picks and duplicated picks, so, you know, doesn't really apply there. But I will be taking a look into, ranked. And I wanted to start here with Genos. If you guys remember, Genos got buffed recently, a little bit too much in my opinion, but he became mostly like a universal healing bot. So he heals everybody through walls all the time, constant marks, and there was a couple of cards that were bugged, and he went from almost trash to super good in just one patch. It was insane. Right now, however, I would like to put him on either average or good, and the only reason I'm going to put him in good is because he can heal through walls. That might not look like it, but even for newbies, this is amazing, because there's a lot of people who unfortunately have very bad positioning, right? And I feel like it takes no skill whatsoever to play Genos. You can be really good if you do have a little bit of skill. You can play so many different playstyles, like Jumpy Genos or Damage Genos, etc. But taking a look into this base kit and how much he got buffed now and how much people are abusing him so much. Like, you play casuals, competitive, it doesn't matter. You'll see Genos everywhere, right? Everybody wants Genos. Except that now in competitive, it went down a little bit, but it still works really fine depending on the maps. So I will put him at good, not super good, because I still feel like he lacks a little bit of the, how do I explain? Sort of the little extra touch just to make him aggressive while also already maintaining everyone alive. He's a very slow damage kind of champion, so he doesn't have that fighting potential. If any flank just dives him, he's as good as dead. His grab literally locks him out of doing anything. He can't shoot while grabbing. That would be an amazing change for him to be able to shoot while grabbing an enemy, because you could just grab somebody and then start shooting him right in the face. That'd be fantastic. You could even prepare your ultimate while grabbing them. Imagine that. You just did like an animation of a snap or something instead of having to hold them. You only apply a mark on somebody to heal. You're not constantly holding that mark. It could be the same thing, you know. I would like to see that. Now let's go by order here. If you're wondering why all these champions are down here, I'm really new to tier lists. so I don't know how to remove the champions on the bottom. So I just did one of the lines for supports, and then we will drag them from here. Let's start with Furia. Furia, I'm gonna drag her all the way up to super good. The reason why I'm putting her in super good, it's because first of all, she already had the potential to be good, but not like the best, because she heals one person at a time every 2 or 3 seconds. One of the cool things is that she doesn't have to literally lose her entire damage and all the other kit while having to heal like Ceres, so she can just click, heal, and then move along. She wasn't doing a lot of heals with her Cherish talent, but now she is, and it's fantastic. She's healing up to 3,000, 4,000 HP and tanks, which is insane. You can put that person back into the fight immediately with just one heal if that person goes back and hides from Cauterize, which is absolutely fantastic. It's a change that I would love to see. I just think it was a bit too much. I think that they shouldn't have changed the passive. I think the passive of the curative or whatever it is should have remained in Solar Blessing, because I mean, let's be honest, Solar Blessing was also changed now to even be more user-friendly. People could just touch the beam, walk away, be super healed, and you still have your right click and such. Now they changed the way that, you know, how her entire extra healing works. They made it so that it's based on max HP, and I think it was just altogether too much, if you know what I'm saying. You know, her ultimate is already fantastic in the team base, you know, buffing the entire team, giving ammo back, speed, damage, etc. All of that is fantastic. Allowing you also to survive last case scenario, which is a lot of people, I don't see a lot of people doing that, but you should start doing that. You know, not use your ultimate when you're completely solo, but if you're in the middle of a fight and people are looking for you first, if you can use the ultimate to both buff your team and survive, using that mobility that the ultimate provides with the damage immunity, you should. Okay, you should learn that. That's one of the skills you need to learn with Furia ASAP. Let's go into Grok. So Grok I'm gonna put in bat. And why? Because Grok used to be amazing at damage mostly. And now with the changes of the passives, he heals less on the ultimate when he's playing damage. So that means he's super easy to kill. Cauterize was already a thing, but now you don't even need to be mid-game to just kill Grok on his ultimate when he's using his damage talent. And then when he's playing healer, he's not doing as much damage. So that means his ultimate is not as aggressive. So his entire ultimate got butchered by accident with the passives on the talents, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. Now, you can still do good, but it's not, you know, crazy good at all. Like, I wouldn't even recommend. I mean, she doesn't have the healing potential that, for example, let's say a Pip Combat Medic has. Pip can put a person back into the fight in just 1 or 2 seconds. Croc has to stand there and physically hold his staff on the person to heal them over time. And if you go with the talent of the 3 totems, then it's even worse, because even with the cooldown cards and talents, there's not a lot of situations where you can actually heal people with the totems and actually do anything. Cauterize is now applied by everybody because it's a passive for everybody, including the players who don't do anything, which I still don't agree. So the totems, first of all, can't be destroyed. Second of all, you messed up when you put the totem on the wrong place. That's it. The only good thing I still see the Grok has is to go as a damage support together with the main healer, and you can go with a loadout which can actually give some speed with the totems to both buff your team, buff yourself, and actually still do some incredible good damage, especially when there's no shields. But that is it. It is very, very situational, and I don't think it's good at all. So, Now I'm gonna grab Grover and put it up all the way up there to super good, because I feel like a lot of people is missing on the potential that Grover has. Grover is fantastic. I gotta be honest, this is counting the Vine Tech. If you do not know how to do the Vine Tech, then you're very much likely not gonna do that good with Grover, because sometimes you really need to last second clutch that Vine Tech and just pull yourself to the other side of the map, save somebody, or just run away to survive. Being able to cancel your ultimate after you've healed people for enough, having 3 different sources of heals, healing through walls, good damage. They buffed his default damage recently, the last patch, but they did nerf a little bit on his, main healing talent. His before the talent that used to be the roots, it's actually pretty bad because you're putting heal stations on your enemies, but when people are fighting these enemies, obviously they can't really do much because they're being cauterized. They're literally suffering from cauterize. So it's like there's no point. There's no value on it, at least in my opinion. I don't know how you guys see it, but using the card that once you hit the people with the right click, you also get the reset on the vine, then the one that also resets the blossom, the healing, your Q, by hitting the right click, and then having just extra passive distance, then having cards to reduce cooldowns by eliminations, then there's just so many things you can do with Grover right now. There's many different playstyles. You have the R, you have speed. It's fantastic. He has a lot of potential, and I feel like if people start looking into it, he might be nerfed again soon enough. All right, that's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna put it in the average. I know that a friend of mine called Sexified, he loves IO, and he would be incredibly mad if he saw this, but I'm putting it at average, and I'm already being very, very nice about it, because to me, IO, it's kind of a little bit like Ceres, but a little bit better, just on the fact that you can stop healing whenever you want, so you can start shooting or something, or move around and still be healing, and your mobility is actually quite good sometimes, don't get it wrong, and your ultimate allows you to save yourself, but then again, Ceres can just go, in shadow travel, so whatever. But I don't really like IO in certain scenarios, because of all the nerfs they did to her. I feel like they nerfed her a little bit too much, that apparently they were doing some testing on how they could make her a little bit more not as aggressive for double support or something. At least this is what I heard. And I don't really think that's the way to go. I think support should be strong enough to heal somebody in 1 second or two, and then just go and do something else, like damage, relocate, whatever, okay? But the entire fact that they nerfed her healing because they thought that she was healing for too much and that's too good for double support meta, it just doesn't go with me. It doesn't make any logic to me. I want the support to be done with healing as fast as possible and just move on to another thing. And consider the fact that IO has to hold her mouse, you have to hold your button to heal, and you can't do anything else in that time. It just doesn't make any sense to me. So nerfing her heals, actually, in my opinion, was a bad move. If she gets a little bit of heals, extra heals on her numbers, or healing numbers, both on lifelink and Goddess Blessing? Goddess Blessing, the talent that everybody used to use because it would also give the R and could actually save people in case that they are suffering from cauterize in certain scenarios. I think that would be fantastic. Just not a crazy good buff, but just a little bit. Ying! I'm gonna put her an average as well. Just because I know that there's some people who can actually make her work really good when it comes to damage support, off support. But when it comes to healing, if you're a very good Ying, I think you can pull it off. But at the same time, I feel like they just made her a heal bot. Right? The entire fact that now she lost damage from explosive clones, and if they go through with the passives and put her on base kit, that means her main fire is even going to do less damage, unless it's already there. It's not there yet, right? No, it's not there yet. But once that hits, she's even going to do less damage with life exchange. And I don't feel like that's going to be a good thing. They just keep reducing the cooldowns of the right click with life exchange, sorry. And it just feels like she's becoming a heal bot more than anything else. And I really don't like heal bots at all right? Grover, for example, has 3 sources of heals, but he also has a lot of damage potential, mobility, and so on. Genos is becoming slowly a heal bot. It actually was for quite a while until last patch, because now they nerfed it a little bit just to, make him move a little bit more. Still think that it heals for way more than what it should, considering the fact, if you look at the numbers, you know what I'm talking about. But consider the fact that his heals are over time, they're very slow, then sure, whatever. We can keep that. But when it comes to damage, not being able to shoot on his Void Grip, kind of meh. But Yang, yeah, losing the potential to explode the clones, that would be an extra source of damage, and it was very good actually to help people on point. I'm gonna be honest, I know that a lot of people are gonna hate me for this, but I would prefer to have the talent that would allow me to heal 2 people with the clones at the same time than the current life exchange. It's that simple. I'm sorry. I would rather have 2 clones being able to heal 4 people at the exact same time and actually save a lot of people at the same time than having to go with no damage whatsoever on clones on your right click. Or just make the talent do double bursts of healing now or something like that. You know, like, because I really want the exploding clones to be there, but once you go with the explosive clones, then it feels like you've lost a lot of healing potential. So solo healer Ying as explosive clones or just main weapon extra damage talent, it just, I don't know, it just feels like they're feeding. But maybe it's just the experience I have with, unfortunately, Yings. So that's why I'm putting her in average and not in bad. Okay, she's good, but it requires a lot of good handling with her, and I don't think there's a lot of people who know how to do it. Okay, so Ceres, gonna put her in average, just because her entire stun on base kit is all very, you know, everybody thought it was really bad, like, oh my god, it's gonna be insane, this is crazy, people are insane, and it turns out to be just pretty garbage. You can just get like resilience 1 or 2 and that's it. You don't have to worry about it. It should have still an internal cooldown like Dumba has, not being able to stun the same person twice in 4 to 5 seconds between stuns. Her heals obviously locks you out from anything else, and late game everybody has cauterized. She doesn't heal for crap. Her ultimate also, if you already start getting resilience because of the stuns, then obviously her ultimate is also going to be, you know what, actually somebody in chat is actually saying she should be lower, and you're absolutely right. I'm going to put her in bad. I'd like playing Ceres. I love playing some damage Ceres every once in a while, but she does not feel like an oppressive champion at all. All right, not at all. She does not feel like a good support. You do see it, like even on console, people are not going straight for Ceres. There will be some people who will play Ceres, but I will tell you one thing: the next champion is way more valuable than her, and that is Pip. And Pip goes all the way to good. In fact, I might actually put it in super good. I think Pip is super good. If you know how to place a combat medic Pip, you are a god. The amount of heals that this guy can do, your potion can heal through walls, by the way. A lot of people still don't know this to this day. He has good mobility. A little known, not very known fact. Once you start your weightless, I think that's the name of the movement ability of Pip. Even if you get crippled, sounds rooted, and etc., your movement ability still continues. It doesn't go on cooldown. It doesn't stop. Right? If you get rooted, you get stopped in place, but you can still use it immediately after. If the duration is longer than the CC, you can continue to do what you're doing, which is insane. His ultimate can completely turn the entire game around, and obviously the only champion that can actually survive to this is Yago, but even then, like, that's a super long stun. And when playing damage, he's now even doing more damage because they just buffed it again. With the passives, they actually didn't turn down the numbers very much, apparently. They actually made it stronger than it was supposed to be. So, like, he's doing way more damage with his damage talent than before, and he's healing a lot more with Combat Medic than before. So it's insane. Like, 2 shots of your main potion, potion launcher. Sometimes just one potion, one shot from your main weapon, and boom, done. In fact, here's a little way that I like to play my Pip, my Combat Medic Pip. This. I increase the radius of my potion to max. I don't think this is actually my loadout, now that I'm looking at it. Or maybe it is. Maybe not. I don't... Oh my god, this is all a big mess. Because I'm going to be honest. I deleted all my loadouts recently, and I've been trying to fix them all back. And yeah, it's still a big mess. But one of the things I love to play with Combat Medic is Medical Excellence. Just because, you know, that potion is still there, and you can toss it and save a lot of people behind walls, right? There's not really anything here that it's going to give you, like, a lot of potential, let's say it like that, when hitting your main fire, like increased reload speed or anything. You're actually gonna have to buy Defiance, so that's a thing. Oh no, but the loadout is actually correct. The reason why I have reload at 5, it's because I can have that potion ready for double healing immediately for a tank. I can go left click, potion, left click, potion, left click, and have a full HP tank immediately. It's actually pretty fantastic. Shred moves a 3, so I can just keep moving and it's actually really good. You guys should try it out. I might come up with a video soon enough to show that. But he's super, super good, both when it comes to damage or heals. You can even go as a secondary healer, go Mega Potion, and in case you have like a Yago or something, you need that extra heals, and go with a good loadout for it. Massive. All right, Dumba. Unfortunately, I don't think I can put Dumba on the super good tier, but I'm gonna put it in good. I love playing Dumba. I think he's one of the best supports in the game, but somehow with the changes that have been happening, changes that happened to Grover, changes that happened to Furia, changes that happened to Pip, it just doesn't make Dumba that main pick for everybody anymore, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. Like, everybody was picking Dumba, because it was the best support in the game, right? He has it all. He has CC. He has good 2 sources of heals. He's super good, right? Like, he can have DR, constant DR by applying right clicks. It's insane, fantastic. Then they changed this Eerie Presence card, which now it does it a little bit less than it should. Instead, now the card itself does ultimate charge that nobody uses it. In fact, so much so that I actually changed my loadout to actually have, it's a fun little experience. You guys should try it out as well. Speed on Gourd. When I toss the gourd onto the floor, if anybody passes on top of it, they start moving super fast. And if I hit people with my right click, they get even more speed. So it's like, I'm insanely buffing my teammates with speed. And it's fantastic. And the speed works on you as well with the gourd, which is fantastic. But unfortunately, the healing numbers that he has are not insanely crazy. And, you know, he only does like a little 400 damage a shot. You go with damage. Dumba Resilience shuts it down super easy and fast, even with Haven to reduce the damage you take. So, you see my point. Like, he can be good, but I just feel like he needs one extra little buff, and he'd be right up top. All right, let's go to Lilith. And Lilith, believe it or not, I'm going to put her at good, and not as super good, and for a reason. I love playing Lilith. I think she's super strong, possibly one of the strongest in the game, but right now she's super bugged. She has a current bug that you cannot stack 2 swarms on top of each other, because that means that if imagine an enemy is on the first swarm. I actually did a video about this. You guys can go back and watch. If you're standing on the first swarm and then you apply a second swarm just right on top of it, the enemy who was standing on top of the first swarm, it will not take damage from the second swarm. First of all, you can no longer stack damage. That's the first thing. 2 swarms on top of each other, and the enemy there, it will only take damage once. Second of all, as soon as the first swarm goes away, second one, that's it. It's gone. It's not going to do any damage. So, you see what I'm saying. Then, she has an issue, which is something that a lot of people have already talked about. On this talent, for some reason, they still haven't figured it out, but this talent does not increase the healing you get from your right-click mark, only on the first little tick. So a lot of people are just refusing to play Curse the Cord because, you know, the only real thing that increases is the swarm healing. And guess what? With Cauterize, swarm healing usually is more left on point. It's more like to do damage and do some, like healing onto the point tank and to the enemy point tank to do some damage there. There's not really much point. It also reduces the damage you take. So you can actually be a little bit more aggressive, a lot more, you know, hybrid, I would say. And this way, what's going to do is if you go with Murderous Intent, Maelstrom is garbage, by the way. Just going to say this. I know there's some people who love this, but I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I've tried it. I hate it. Maybe in close range maps. But in Murderous Intent, first of all, you can have the chance of like getting a couple people stacked up together, do some crazy good damage. Second of all, you do more damage with your Swarm. Fantastic. Beautiful. And then you don't have to worry about that right click being bugged because it doesn't matter. It's going to do the exact same amount of heals. And there you go. I mean, the only good thing about this is it decreases the blood cost, right? But you can have some cards to reduce that. And in my opinion, that's even better. In fact, one of the cards that I'm running a lot now, it is Enriched Blood because it reduces the duration of it. I actually have less of a chance of stacking swarms together to trigger the bug of a double of the second swarm not doing damage. Okay? So, yeah. All right, so that's where Lilith goes. I actually want to pull her down to average, but she's still pretty good. Corvus, average. Just because Genos does way better than him right now, and by really far. He's okay. He has good mobility, but like, I'm sorry. If I have to pick between Genos and a Corvus, I'm gonna go with the Genos. That's that simple. Like, I mean, you guys know how Corvus goes. I don't have to explain it to you. And Ray, I'm gonna put her in bad. Because the only good thing I see her doing is... Actually, let's pull it to average. The only good thing I see Ray doing is actually damage support or main support if you have a second support. Because I feel like her for healing is insanely bad. Her right click is completely RNG. Sometimes stops working. Sometimes, like, my personal opinion is that if you have the first target with your right click, beyond that, once they start bouncing around through people, it should go through walls. All right, you go on Bazaar, guess what? That happens in the middle of the map. Let it just do that everywhere. I've actually suggested this to the devs back when I was on the UC, and I still haven't seen it happen, so I'm guessing that's not really something they wanted to do. Then they tried to nerf her, but they bugged her instead. They had to revert her. So for heals, she's super bad unless she has a secondary healer that can also take some pressure off only healing for her. And when it comes to off support, yeah, she's pretty good, but there's some people who can actually counter her superly nice. Like a Koga can just melt through her. Her damage reduction on Envelop, it doesn't work because he does less damage than the minimum. Her link with the focus or whatever she's trying to do, you can just dash and clear it. So, like, oh, she slows down for very much. Yeah, whatever, dude. I just get resilience. What are we talking about here? The only thing that I hate, and that's really why I'm putting her in average, is her goddamn ultimate. That's it. 100% DR. They brought it back. It allows her to survive. It allows her ally linked to her to survive. Like, even a goddamn nuke. That's the only reason I'm putting her in average. And you're probably wondering, why are you not putting anyone in trash? Are you actually that scared of putting anyone in trash? No. The reason why I don't put anyone in trash is because I feel like supports are some of the strongest champions in the entire game. All right, let's be honest. Some of the strongest things in this entire game. And right now, they are all usable. I wouldn't pick anything below good to heal. If I have to heal or even be hybrid or even for main damage, I would go with super good and good. Maybe I would get like a Grok just for some fun, extra fun. But beyond that, average and bad there, I wouldn't pick any of them for anything. But that's my play style, obviously, my personal opinion. And obviously, there's going to be people who would disagree. But here's the thing. I'm not going to tell you to shut up. All right, I'm not going to tell you to shut up about it. I still want to know your opinions. So tell me down in the comments below, how would you do this tier list? Okay, there is 12 champions in this list, so I guess you can do that. You know, go down in the comments below and tell me from 12 to 1 or from 1 to 12 being 1 the best. Tell me your champions picks, and I'm gonna read through them and see what the community thinks. All right, so that's my first tier list, official tier list. I've done one about items, but obviously that's not the same thing. And if you guys enjoyed that, don't forget to share it with your friends, put a like on it, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget, more tier lists to come and more videos of such nature. So thank you. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.